Today I'd like to model solving an absolute value equation using algebra tiles. And so the equation that we're going to solve is the absolute value of negative 2n plus 6 equals 6. And so what I did is I set this equation up two ways. I set it up the way it's written here, negative 2n plus 6 equals 6. And if you have forgotten, with algebra tiles the negative is always red, and if it's any other color but red, it's a positive quantity. The reason why I wanted to do an absolute value equation is because kids often forget that you need to make two equations. You need the equation as it's written, and then you also need to solve the opposite of that equation, the opposite of what's inside the absolute value signs, so that you come up with the potential positive answer and the potential negative case answer. So here's what I've got. I've got negative 2n plus 6 equals 6 set up, and then the opposite. And if you'll notice, all I did was make my green variables, my red variables green, and my positive units over here I made them red, and of course outside of the absolute value sign it stays the same. So the first time around with algebra tiles I would have the kids solve it just with the tiles, and the way you start is you start by simplifying the equation. I like to make 0 pairs on both sides. If we put 6 red ones over here, it'll cancel out our 6 yellow ones, and then of course we do the same thing to the other side. And it cancels everything out. And I know kids freak out when we have nothing left, but really what this says over here is that this negative 2n is equal to 0. So of course any variable that we had would be equal to 0. So on this side, n equals 0 is our solution. And then we do the same thing for our other one. And we find 0 pairs. Well, since I added 6 yellow here, I have to add 6 yellow to the other side of my equation. And so we have these cancel out. They form enough 0 pairs. And then over here I'm left with 1, 2, 3, 4, 12 ones. And I have 2 n's over here. And what we need to do is we need to try to get these in 2 equal piles. And so what I see is that each one of these n's are equal to 6. So the solutions for this absolute value equation are n equals 0 and n equals 6. And you can do this with any equation. You can use it even with one that you have to distribute if you've got enough algebra tiles. If you have questions on that, just let me know. But what I would do is start just using the algebra tiles first, and then have the kids use algebra tiles and pencil and paper so that they're writing down each step and they're making connections between 0 pairs, forms of 1, and all the steps it takes to solve an equation. So that's absolute value algebra tiles. Thank you.